without that, you cannot build a team. Subject knowledge. I think all of you know this. Unless it is very easy for a doctor to do a business in healthcare, like your domain knowledge, rather than trying somebody else to come and do hospital business. I know one IIM guy who started a chain of hospitals. He miserably failed. I know why it is, because unless you have a lot of knowledge what we acquire during our college days is not visible. So without we knowing, it becomes voluntary. So involuntary. Without we knowing, we do things. Like good example is, if I tell you to ask you when to brake, when you are driving, if you are calculating the distance between you and the next vehicle, and one dog walking, and then making a decision, it is not possible for you to drive, especially in India. It's possible for you to drive only it is automatic. So a lot of subject knowledge becomes automatic if you do work in your own domain rather than getting into some other domain. But here, you need to have incremental subject knowledge. You need to read a lot. You need to read things which, even if it's not your domain. For example, recombinant DNA technology is not, I'm a pharmacologist. But then unless I read and understand it properly and watch people doing it, it's very difficult for me to, invest on that and go ahead with something, an experiment where it's required. Another thing is high energy. Mental energy and physical energy is very, very important. I can see that successful people are so energetic. They're so, always they're never tired, mentally or physically. So that's very important. Integrity is very highly important for me. That's what I think. There could be some people who do not believe. We can give examples of people having no integrity and have grown. Yeah, it does happen in societies. Like let's say if you are a minister's son and you are supplying to the government in the same portfolio, then you can get succeeded. But then most of us are not. So integrity is very, very important, because on the long run, people are really going to appreciate you and trust. I tell you, most of the business is about trust. For example, our hospital, medical or healthcare business is about trust. If people have to buy my product, they have to have trust in me. And if they have to have trust in me, I should have high levels of integrity, which is taken over a period of time. The integrity also, I mean, in the vendors' payment, government, paying taxes, statutory requirement, doing as per the government norms. Everything is part of the integrity. High output. Usually the quality of output of successful people is extremely high. This one, I think you have to teach me. Disciplined financial management. For example, we have standing instructions. First, we pay salaries on the first. Next, everything will go to the statutory requirement. Then the vendor payment. Then the incidental, all the expenses which are paid. And last, I take my salary, or directors or the investors should take their money. It is that discipline with which we are working, and it is very, very important for you. For example, we have multiple offices, multiple places, and one simple question. I'll tell you. This is I was working for Reliance. I had opportunity to listen to Dhirubhai Ambani. So he told me this. No, he didn't tell me. He told the crowd. Every day morning, you go to your accounts head and ask him what is the bank balance. So then what is the payable and what is the receivable. So if you have these three numbers under control, you will never go bankrupt. I'm telling you, it was such a simple thing, but it's so amazing that every day, even now I go to my accounts head, ask him, give me the total bank balance, what cash we have in hand, and how much is payable, how much is receivable. Because from that, that whether you have enough money to pay, and is there anything which is outstanding. Of course, for my receivables are usually zero because we are on cash. I don't give even a single substance to anybody without they paying money in advance. You can do that as well, and I think that's the best practice. That's why Western countries are, their businesses are far better, because because of the payment. Even if 20% or 10% of your outstanding which you payable to you does not come, your total profit can get wiped out. So this is my advice. Be always on advance. Never trust anybody. Okay, why? Because if somebody does not give me money and if I have to recover that, it takes ages. I think average check bounce case gets settled in the US in, I think, 66 days. That's the average. Imagine if in 66 days you can, solve the problem. Tell me who is going to bounce the check. So discipline, financial management, and systems in place. I'm sure some places we do have more of human things. See, there are some things which are have to be spontaneous in a medical field or in healthcare field. So we cannot have rigid systems. So rigid systems, policy procedures can hamper. Especially some employees cannot do go as per that. But then a broad framework of policy procedure and system should be there. Now, obstacles. Money is the biggest obstacle. All of us know that. Sometimes technology is another big obstacle. We do not have the technology in India, or in-house. So we have to take it from outside. Statutory harassment. Please be ready. Every other person. See, I think we have to take 23 different licenses to run a pharmaceutical company. Now it may be a little more also because waste management and many other things have come. If there is arbitrary power with the person you are dealing with in the government, you are going to be harassed. And after some time, we get used to it. And be prepared for that. And this is one stress for which many people do not want to be entrepreneurs and do not want to be part of any business. So statutory harassment is unfortunate, but it is still there. Be prepared for it, and you will know how to manage it. And it is unfair on my part or improper on my part to tell you how do you manage that. Competition. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you one story, what happened last week. Last week, we put the one of our shop online. And we started promoting the shop online in social media and Google ads and here and there. The moment we did it, one of the big seller in the market, who's aggregator and seller online, he just delisted our products with some silly reason. And we were trying to solve the problem. We were trying to talk to him and find this is the season. We need that. We have to put it there. And in the end, I had a friend of mine in that company. So I just called him and said, "What's happening, dear? Why can't you just list our products? We are paying money." So he said, "Rishi, just remove your shop. If you remove your shop, everything will be up. I'm sorry, but that's how the things work." So competition can really twist you, especially the big competitors, and you can get wiped out. Especially if you are in a business which is replicable by others with ease. So having, for example, a restaurant or a Darshini like in Bangalore is such a risk because somebody else can put another huge one next to you, and the competition can really kill you. Family compulsions. I'll tell you, we are still a poor country. We are not a very rich country, though we are getting money. Not everybody will be in a position to get into business because or entrepreneurship because of family compulsions. We'll have to feed our parents. We cannot leave them for the sake of I'll go as per my passion and let my parents starve is not the right thing. We are still people with family connections, bonding, etc. So family compulsion is one of the biggest obstacle for entrepreneurship. Policy changes. This is something which can happen. One of my friends started a business in milk in here Karnataka. So he started collecting milk. He grew. He got some cows and buffaloes. Apart from that, he used to collect from public and sell it in the Bangalore town. He was pretty successful. Suddenly, the government changed. And they reduced the price of. They increased the buying price by 3 rupees and reduced the selling price by 2 rupees. Now, this is a 5 rupee gap. Now, this one, it was impossible for any private player to lose 1 rupee or 2 rupees and then sell milk. So, this policy change wiped out his business. He had to close it. He just closed it. Intimidation, naysayers. Okay. When I was first presented I wanted to get into an incubation place like yours. I first presented it, my all thought process about what we call as TNF alpha inhibitor. TNF alpha is one of the big protein in inflammation, and if you can inhibit that, you can actually stop psoriasis, you can stop Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, many inflammatory disorders. By the way, the world's largest selling drug is for TNF alpha. It's around, I think in the US alone, it is $19 billion. So we wanted to work on that. So I made a presentation, and the head of that particular group was listening to us. First thing he came and said, if you do the first thing is you can't make TNF alpha because it is very expensive, it is not available. And secondly, for this research, if you ask, you will not make even $50,000. So naysayers are always there. There are people who enjoy you not being not successful also, but naysayers they can put you down. They can, because this is a young mind. He wants to get into entrepreneurship. He wants to go through it, and suddenly, one nay from a renowned person can make you really stop thinking about it and not going ahead. Second is frustration. Favoritism is very, very sad. I'm making some of the things which you may not be seeing in your business school because these are practical. Frustration, you can get frustrated the way somebody else get his order, then you have a superior product just because he has got somebody in the purchase department of. Hello.
Audience, please mute yourself.
Okay, this is the most important slide, and this is the total crux of my speech. Unless you enjoy your effort, you cannot succeed in your business. You have to enjoy. Even if you succeed making money, you will not be happy in your life. So you should really, really enjoy the effort you put, and the effort may be in one direction today and effort may be in another direction tomorrow. And what I could see in Nitin Gadkari is he really enjoys what he is doing. That's why he's talking with confidence about putting the road. So you have to enjoy, your effort. Not making an effort for your goal is absolutely not acceptable. All of you guys, if you have something in your mind, just see whether this is really practical for you to do it all alone, or you can do it along with somebody else. Because I think entrepreneurship is also about joining a company, leading a team, and doing something is also entrepreneurship. So, but you will really regret once you get old, because now I regret for not having done something which I wanted to do at that time and I did not put effort. Why I did not put effort? I don't know, because I think we get distracted as youngsters in many other things, so you don't put effort. So as youngsters now, if you have some goal, please put effort. Otherwise, you will really regret when you get old like me. Now, outcome is directly proportionate to effort. There is no doubt. Any more effort you put, I'll say, when I say effort, is smart effort. Again, I don't believe in this hard work, etc. Smart effort you put, your outcome will be much, much better. I'll give you some examples of obstacles and the effort and what we did in drug development. And but this effort also needs correct understanding of roadmap, like what I am going to do first, what I'm going to do next. Like I think there was a book about 6 secrets of successful people, something like that. In that, what I liked is first keep the end in mind before you start a work, which is an excellent way of starting. So if once you know the end, it may be the end of the first step, end of the second step, end of the third step. You know the roadmap over a period of time, because if we don't write down, this is another thing which I learned in Reliance, is what is not written does not exist. It was there on the wall of our manager. So if you don't write down, like you do business plans, you write the execution plans. So unless you write down, we'll not know what is the roadmap, and there will not be clarity in your mind. So clarity in mind is very important for effort in right direction, so that what you are doing is in the right path. Working long hours is not what is effort. You need to work long hours, but working long hours, not going to family, not going for a holiday. For example, I go golfing at least 3 days in a week, at least 9 holes. I see almost all the movies. we have fun, we have parties. So it's very important to have social life. It is very important to have family life. So long working hours, I've seen many of my friends doing it, but I don't endorse on that. And I don't think the quality of the output will be that good. Thinking about solution when you, this is another thing. When you go to golf courses, like golf courses are around 40 kilometers outside from Bangalore. So while driving, if you're just thinking about what to do in the company, how do I solve it, what is the other way around, even that is work. There's a proverb in English that he who stands also serves, because this is said about people who are guarding in the palace. No, they stand there, and though he is standing and doing nothing, but actually he is watchful all the time and trying to see whether somebody is trying to sneak inside. So even that is work. That's how you must understand. So that always having it in mind and thinking about it will contribute a lot for your effort. Effort can also be incremental. So you put first effort, second and third, just like success is incremental, effort is also incremental. Now, I'll give you examples of efforts. So there was outbreak of a virus, and we started working on it in March, much before the virus entered in. First case was diagnosed in India. So our first problem was, now we have to see what do you need to do, whether we can kill the virus, do you want to stop the virus from replication in the nose, or can we stop the viral entry into the cell or improve immunity against the virus? So people are talking about immunity kit, etc. Now, so how do you go about it? So when first we realize is people started publishing the DNA sequence, RNA sequence of this virus. Once they publish the sequence, we can create, looking at the sequence, the sequence is nothing but chain of amino acids. Now, chain of amino acids getting into nucleic acids. So once you know that chain, we can recreate that protein in our computer. So much before anybody else published complete data, we had published a paper of the structure of that virus or spike glycoprotein, how it could be. So that is an example of effort, making it. Then once we realize that, okay, this is, we work on plant-based products. So we have world's largest library of plant molecules. Nobody else has got. There are 393,000 plants on Earth, and you ask me, I have chemistry of every plant which is present in the world. So we screened all the plants against this spike glycoprotein, and then we realized that there are multiple ways that we can do. One is to kill the virus. Now, virus is, during that time, I think India had just about 3 or 4 labs who could handle the virus. So we had to pester, use our influence, go there, talk to the people and get permission for our, whatever molecule we developed to kill the virus. So that's one effort. And that's where you need to have pull and push and everything, otherwise you will not get through easily, because most of them are government labs. Now, the second possibility is stop the virus from replication, but killing the virus is one way of doing experiment. Stopping the virus from replication is another way. So we developed the protocol, we discussed with the scientists, and we went to them, and we found that there were around 10 plant molecules which could stop viral replication by 100%. That is, you grow the virus and add these molecules, and suddenly you see next day morning virus disappears there. You don't find anything there. So which was what we showed. Now, this is very important. When everybody was talking about killing the virus, we were just thinking virus doesn't get inside the cell, like once it gets infected. That means there is some mechanism which stops the virus from entering into the cell. So we did a lot of reading, and we realized that there are something called interferon-dependent transmembrane proteins. Like there are proteins which work like gates. The proteins are on the cell wall. Once they get expressed, they work like gates. So virus cannot enter in. So this is usually expressed by interferon, but interferon expression is only after the viral infection. So we wanted to know whether we can induce through a molecule or a plant these gates to be open and closed. So the gate is closed, the virus cannot enter in. We went around and realized that there is no experimental protocol or a platform available like that. So we devised thought of we will create a platform, and we wrote a project, gave it to Government of India. Government of India gave a grant, though I have not received any money. Now here, this is what happens. We have cells in our platform. These cells are, now you can stimulate these cells for expressing the gate, and you have pseudovirus. Now you put the pseudovirus into the cell and tag it with the color. And if the virus enters inside the cell will give green color. This is a simple principle. But if they stimulate the same cell with another cell, for example, one plant, and the gates open, close, the virus cannot enter in, so that you don't get green color. So we created that particular platform for understanding, because now you may ask, you say COVID is already gone. For me, COVID is gone. So once the COVID is gone, what is the use? Actually, this particular system can be used for any virus. We can use it for HIV, dengue, we can use it for chikungunya, herpes, we can use it for anything. So this is an effort. This is something which is unique. Nobody has done in the world, this kind of a platform. Now, the next is immunity check. You would have heard people taking immunity boosters. Like, you know what? Immunity boosting is something which is not very good. Immunity is like, police. Now, if police becomes hyper, you will start getting allergies. You will start getting, say police of inside us, you will start getting allergies. You can start getting rheumatoid arthritis. You can get Crohn's. You can get psoriasis. So it is stupid to think that immunity is to be boosted. Particular part of immune system has to be boosted. So we wanted to know whether people take so many herbs and tell that immunity boost, whether particular part gets boosted. For our surprise, there were no available kits in the market to do that. This is called T-cell immunity. There were no T-cell immunity kits. So we said that, okay, anyway, this is where T-cell immunity is non-specific, which is important for all the viruses or bacteria in future also. So we created a T-cell immunity kit, and it is ready. Now we are trying to do it with the lateral flow. So we can tell, this is not an antibody. This is your innate immunity, which is specific to all viruses, whether it is active or not. So in future, we can do it for any other. Had we not done all this effort, we wouldn't have been ahead of others. Right? For example, about half the revenue comes because of one of these new efforts what we put. So sometimes effort is also about creating platforms for future work. Adopting technology, I think that's the most important part. As I said, computer-aided drug design and artificial intelligence is what we are. I have the lab, which is right up here, where we can screen any molecule against any. In 2035, we'll have a virtual man. But as on today, there are around 3,000 proteins which are responsible for diseases. So we have all the 3,000 proteins in a virtual form, so that we can actually test them for against any medicine. And that there is an AI, even chemistry can be broken down like smiles. So this chemical, one interaction, if one kind of a moiety means one part of a chemical structure, our AI keeps learning. So next time when a similar molecule comes, it starts suggesting us that please try it for this particular target. It's more likely to be effective. So you have to develop such technologies, and without such technologies, we would have become jaddi-booty people. Data collection, for example, we have built a system. Most of the papers published are in the form of PDF. So now, that basically means the structure of the chemical which is studied there is in a picture format. So we have written a program which can go through all these papers. If there is a chemical structure, immediately identify it and read it, convert it into virtual chemical, like it can interact with these proteins, and put it in our database. So data collection, and for the same thing, data curation. Initially, we used to do the curation manually. We don't do curation manually. We actually we have created AI which understands and curates and gives you 90 to 95% accurate molecule from any published data. I'm telling you, nobody has it. We have done it, and it gets updated every week. Every week it goes, searches the databases, sees the new papers which are relevant to us, downloads them, and keeps updating. Sometimes some papers get repeated. The people publish here and there. So it updates. So that is what it can see. Now, we can also do the affinity prediction. There is a software which is running, which is of course licensed, not ours. You can see the affinity of any protein to any molecule, and with accuracy of around 35 to 40%, which is very important because you save a lot of money. You can predict the toxicity. Right now, we are also creating another software for toxicity prediction based on the past data. So the moment we make a new molecule, it will do toxicity prediction and give. So apart from that, co-expression of genes, polypharmacology prediction. Polypharmacology is something very interesting. For example, for one activity, there will be a chain of proteins which are responsible. So if you block one protein, usually what happens is you'll start getting side effects. So if you partially block multiple proteins at the smaller quantity, this is called subclinical, drug thing, whether you can stop the disease is something called polypharmacology prediction. So see, this kind of adopting technology is very, very important. And in every field, wherever you go, you will definitely need it. Because, for example, if our website is, our line is down, nobody works. We have become so much dependent on technology, and especially computers and AI, that I think you have to adopt it for every business. Now, there's some of the mental barriers. I think I will have another 10 minutes. Okay. For example, we are into the NCE business, the new chemical entity. We create a new molecule which is not present on Earth. We create it and we see the efficacy, confirm it is not toxic, and then take it to the next level. Everybody, all the investors who have come to me have said that don't get into this. This is too risky business. It can be done only by Western countries. This is a mental barrier. There is nothing that we cannot do. I'm telling you, 100% we can do anything, and we should get rid of this. I say white skin mania should really disappear. Herbal versus modern. People, you know what? Every plant has a chemical which is equivalent to modern medicine chemical. Without that, a plant cannot work. So this mindset of herbal is non-chemical, herbal is natural. I don't believe in that. So that's a mental barrier. The moment you come out of the mental barrier, now you start working on chemistry of the plant rather than looking for some other miracle inside. Big companies versus small companies. I'll tell you, it is much smaller companies are much more productive because things are under control. And see, if there is one bad man in the chain of the management, the whole that particular project can collapse. And when you have huge companies with huge people, there will not be one, but there will be 10 of them who will be really an obstacle. So smaller companies can be much better. It's a mental barrier that smaller companies cannot do big work. Big town boys versus small town boys, it's always there. We think that English-speaking crowd is far better than Hindi-speaking crowd, which is not true. I studied in Kannada medium. I never studied in English medium ever. So big town versus small town is really not true. Many people think that you need a godfather and need a role model to be followed. I think we should get out of this. We don't need a role model. You can be you yourself can be a role model. Try to introspect, try to understand, engineer yourself, and prepare yourself for this particular thing. I don't think you need a mentor or a role model. A mentor can be there for you can just listen, because many of the mentors which I've seen are also half cooked. They don't understand my business and try to give me advice on my business. Trusting in proverbs and sayings. I'm sorry to say, but then sometimes it is too much. People tend to believe and think about these proverbs and sayings too much and believe in it. I think that's a mental barrier. You've got to be a little careful about that. And now this is about entrepreneurship. I think I shouldn't be going much into this, because you would have heard much more than in your business school about essential of partnership, like willingness to act, what kind of properties you should have, should I take entrepreneurship or not, why I should take entrepreneurship. Then some characters of entrepreneurs, like self-starter, open-minded, highly motivated, self-confident, initiative taker, and visionary, optimistic. I'll leave this slide with your team, so you can always go through it. And I don't think there's anything new which you will know more than what I know. ups and downs of being entrepreneurship. Maybe we can touch on that. Being your own boss is something very good, because when I say I can play 3 rounds of golf in a day, that basically means in a week, that basically means that at 3 o'clock I skip my office and go, and I come to office at 7 o'clock, so I can compensate, which I may not be willing to allow my other staff doing. So your own boss, you can be really original, because when you are working for somebody else, I'm very, very unlikely as a junior, you will be able to do your original work and original thoughts. You have control over situations, you have limited rules to follow, more of self-discipline. I think it's also very important, being self-disciplined. Freedom of choice and time, independent working and management styles, etc. The downs are business failure. It's very, very common. I think half the businesses fail. I don't know the exact number. Once upon a time, I heard that 1 out of every 6 businesses fail. Now, it may be more or less. You can have unexpected obstacles. For example, many businesses have got wiped out because of COVID. Hospitality industry, restaurants. I know one of my friend who closed this 3-star hotel because he was just not able to manage it. So financial insecurity, like when you get a salary at the end of the day, a month, it's much more comfortable compared to when you have to give salary by the end of the month. Long hours and hard work, changing laws that can, as I said earlier, you can be redundant. Your product can become redundant. How tape recorders and things became redundant once the electronic MP3 systems came, and even those became redundant once the phones started playing the music. MNC competition, which one example I had given you earlier. So how to start? I think again this is not really important for me to talk to you, because you know it, but anyway, it is that part of the site. Also, kind of nature of business. I think some businesses are one-man centered, like Guruji business is one-man centered, whereas some others are group centered. Some can have a mass product, or some can have a premium product, like Ferrari, for example, versus soap. Some businesses are highly regulated. For example, many people want to get into marijuana business as of now, actually without understanding what exactly is the regulations in India. Is it legal? How legal it is, for what it is legal, etc. But anyway, it's a highly regulated market. Though, sir, nanandu lecture kodta idini. It's a highly regulated market, whereas many other businesses like our herbal industry is very softly regulated. So that's very important for us to take the risk or not to take the risk. Replicability of your success. Family business versus corporate business. I think Alagappa and Sons is the only company in the world which has got 14th generation into business, and they have some rules. So it is not that family businesses have to close, but then they can continue as well. Whereas making it corporate is another. High budget and low budget. These are the type of businesses. I was under the impression that this company is a pharma company because I got a call. So your college is a pharmacy college earlier. So I got a call from after I gave a lecture about some ideas in pharma. So I just kept that slide. If one of you wants to get into any business, I just retain services and products in healthcare and pharma business. So you can take the reference of this. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. So if you have any questions, I am willing to answer now, or you can take down my email ID. You can take down my phone number from the organizers, and you're always welcome to talk to me. I invite you all to my lab. You should come. I have 5 labs. I have a computer drug design lab. It's full of all the big screens running the molecules. Then I have one chemistry lab, which is basically for the separation of the molecules. Then I have a synthetic chemistry lab here at Electronic City. Then we have a biology lab where we do mole biology, immunology, and other kind of works. Very impressive lab. You should come. It's a government facility. We have incubated there. Then I have very interesting is I have an agri-tech lab. In the agri-tech lab, for example, some of the molecules of the plant are present in the root, and the roots of the trees cannot be taken because it is not sustainable. So we are trying to grow roots inside the lab using hydroponics or aeroponics. So it's a very interesting. I have an IITN as a partner for me. You can come and see the hanging roots which are growing. Of course, we cannot make it at the commercial level now because our output cost has become very high. But then it's also a very interesting lab, and I'm willing to take you to all the labs and show you if any one of you are interested in this kind of business. Thank you very much. Thanks to organizers. Thank the listeners. Stage is up to you.
Sir?
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's have.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah. Can you switch on my video?
Yes, sir. Please. The person who is asking.
Stop sharing. Yeah, please go ahead. Somebody had a question.
Yes, sir. So if we start a startup, then how we can brand our name, mean popular our brand name, or I want to say that how we can convince other to work with us in our initial state.
Yeah, it's a very good question. See, when I started the company, I had the label of company being a herbal company. So many of the scientists were not willing to come and work. So then I met somebody who's one in Belgium, and she listened to me and she said, I want to work with you. And she came and started working, a very efficient person. Because she came, the others started joining. I had a very good pharmacologist who joined me. Then we had bioinformatician, AI. So it is a challenge. So how do you break that challenge? If you make somebody, there are three ways. What I can think, there may be many other ways. First thing is, if you can get a renowned scientist or a management person, depending on what startup you are, as your partner, you're very likely to get others. Others will follow. Second is, if you get investment and if you give money, people will come. These days, because kids are not as scared, especially in South, I'm not too sure in all other places. Here, graduates are not more worried about the job security. So if you give higher, money, they would come. Thirdly, if your idea is really great, with having good advisors or names on board, like let's say we had IIM ex-director of IIM Bangalore on our board. We had head of Biocon is there even now as our advisor on board. So if you have big names associated with you, people will come. These are the three ideas I have. There may be many more as you think.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. First of all, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, my name is Ayush Sharma, first year, Poornima Institute of Engineering Technology. First of all, sir, you said at the starting of the presentation by giving the example of Nitin Gadkari, sir, that you have to enjoy what you are doing. So my question is not that what I have to do to find my passion or the thing which I enjoy. My question is that with all of your experience and all of those years you have spent in these fields, which things or paths I do not have to follow to find my passion or the thing which I enjoy?
I did not get the question completely. You are asking me, is it bad to follow my passion?
No, sir. I am asking that what things I do not have to do. मतलब, uh, the paths which I do not have to follow to get my passion, but the right paths to follow to get the things which I enjoy.
I still did not understand it properly. I think you are telling what should. I don't think there is anything hard and fast rule that I should do this and I shouldn't do this. See, let me be clear. Follow the passion. It could be dangerous, especially in some fields. For example, let's say you are an artist and you want to be singer, and you don't have really that talent, though you have passion. This is a simple example I gave you. So this same thing could be there. Many people are not born entrepreneurs. They cannot take stress. They cannot actually they do not have the ability to become an entrepreneur. So such people cannot follow their passion because they don't have it in it. That it is very important for us to introspect and understand, do I have it in me? And then go ahead. Then in such things, I would say, don't get into the trap of follow your passion. Whereas if you are capable and you really enjoy what you're doing, maybe you will get 10 rupees less or say some money less. Still, I think you are successful in your life, isn't it? Maybe you just, because you are enjoying what you are doing, do it. Isn't it the appropriate thing to do in your life?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Hitesh, please ask your query.
Sir, how to manage time with the startup and study, sir? How to manage everything, sir?
I bunk the class and go and do your business. Otherwise, how is it possible? See, the amount of work is very important. If you let's say you know that you have to study and it is rigorous. So there are two things which you have to think. Is it really important for you to start a startup when you are a student? Is it really possible as far as the time is concerned? Now, your studies, let's say, take this many hours as a classroom, and next you will have projects, right? You have to go home and do projects and this and that. So see how much time it takes, let's say 2 hours after your classes are over. Now, if you want to do a startup, if the startup is something which is having a continuous work or intermittent work, usually students can do something which is of intermittent work. When I say intermittent work, is like a consultancy. Let's say you do something like graphic design for somebody, or you do something like branding for somebody. It is not continuous work. It's an intermittent work. So intermittent work business, I mean, a startup is much easier rather than continuous work where, for certain hours there should be somebody or you have to be there. So if it is for intermittent work, then see how many hours are required for that intermittent work, and do you have it after getting good sleep and having a social life. So I think it's very easy. It's a simple arithmetic of working hours required for studies and working hours required for your startup, and if that match without putting you into a lot of stress, health problems, sleep problems, social problems, I think it should be possible. It's not very difficult. And there is nothing wrong in not doing it. It's just about 2 years, like your MBAs. So what you have to think seriously, whether you have to seriously study and horn up your skills now, or divert your mind and do some startup at this moment.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, any other query?
Sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. My name is Abhijit Pillai. So my question to you is, as you said that sometimes you may feel pressurized or by the competition, or you might face prejudices. So there must be some situation in which you might feel like it's not worth fighting for. So what should a person do at that time, and how should he control that feeling of him?
See, emotion, like as youngsters, sometimes we feel hurt and we will think that I need to I have to take vengeance and I cannot do this, I will do that, etc. I think you have to think about situation very wisely. For example, if let's say if a tax officer troubles me, they have troubled me earlier, and then because he troubled me, I had, during that time CCTV was not that common, but I had CCTV in my office and I had recorded all his talks. So I was really wild. I knew a politician who was my friend. So I went to him with these details. He was a man with the gray hair, with the wisdom. This is probably 15 years back. He told me, Rishi, you just think, you'll definitely be able to get this tax officer suspended, and he will go. And after some time, the suspension will be revoked and he will be in another post or somewhere. But the next officer who's coming, he will have a grudge on you because they are all in the same fraternity. Because you have done this to this fellow, the other fellow will also try to do something for you. So it is not wise. I agree with your anger, but please hold the anger. So as you said, if sometimes we may have to understand and say that, okay, we have to live with that. What else to do? So, rather than being emotionally getting disturbed and losing focus on what you really want to do. Because I'll tell you, fighting the babus, fighting the corruption, fighting the prejudice will take lot of emotional time, mental time, and this, because it will be lingering in your mind continuously. So it is not unwise to ignore. When I say that, some people may ask me, don't you have to stand up against the corruption? Don't you have to stand up against something wrong? Yeah, and I mean, if you have a stamina to stand up against corruption and prejudice and all that, you can do it. I don't say no. There are people who enjoy doing it and they don't get disturbed. For example, for me, if I have any of these kind of trouble, I am not disturbed. I am calm. I am cool, because for every prejudice there is a cost. You understand? For every corruption there is a cost. So you have to inculcate that cost into your cost of your product. Well, there is no other way that you can do business. This is the fact. So I think you have to wisely decide. It's a good question. You have to wisely decide whether I should spend time and money on this particular issue, or whether I have to move on in life. And most of the time we move on in life.
So,
Yes, any other query?
good morning, sir. My name is Karan, and sir, I just wanted to ask you one thing, that in today's market, like everyone wants to do entrepreneurship. Everyone wants to start their startup, their business, and sometimes they think that we can think creative, we can think out of the box, aside from the crowd. But when they think something else, the thing already exists in the market. Like if I think about some startup or an idea, hmm, the same idea already exists in the market. So how can I stand out of the crowd? Like how can I say that my startup is different? How can I gather the investors to invest in my startup rather than other startups which are already same?
Yeah, very good idea. Very good question. See, in India, many of the companies or many of us are not keen on paying for the data. Okay, so you have to do thorough research, even for an investment of, let's say, something like 20 lakhs or 15 lakhs. You should do thorough research about who is doing what. So which can be done in two ways. First thing is, there aren't many entrepreneurs actually. There are few entrepreneurs in India. So in your field, what is happening can be gathered from 3-4 activities. First thing is publication. For example, in any new idea somebody has, if it is in your field of interest, somewhere he would have published that data, or you will know his name as a co-author or somebody. Go behind such people and see what they are doing. So if you understand what they are doing, mostly you will find somewhere a reference of what they are doing. Secondly, you have to visit the fairs and exhibitions of the relevant industry. For us, ITBT industry is our industry, and we attend every exhibition either as participants or as visitors. Go around, see what others are doing. So you will get to know. Thirdly, there are grants. Do you know that there is a grant called BIRAC and for innovations, which is a Biotech Ignition grant. Similarly, such DST and others would have had grants for many other ideas. And most of the startups take money from the government. We have taken money from the government as well. All that is listed in their website. If you go to DST website, Department of Science and Technology, whoever has funded, how much to which idea is all written there. So you can sit at home and start collecting the data about what others are trying to do. So I think homework or market survey, as we say, for a product. In your case, it may not be market survey, because I don't think any of the market survey companies will give you this kind of data. But a good homework, traveling and visiting these places, you will come to know. Because there are for example, there are limited startups in Bangalore. Startup enclaves are around 5 or 6, and you visit all of them. Their websites itself, you will know what their idea is. Otherwise, you can visit them physically. So to know, I think putting a lot of time for preparation before you start investing on your idea is very, very important, and your point is extremely valid.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for the
So
queries. Yes, Shashank, do you have any other query?
yes, sir.
Yeah, please
So I
summarize
have
it.
one more question. Sir, someone told me that if we want to become an entrepreneur, if we want to become a good entrepreneur, then it is compulsory or it is a good idea to work under someone, mean to become an employer for 2 to 3 years,
Very much, I
so that
agree with that.
so that we can understand what is happening.
Three, four things. Now, entrepreneurship soon after your graduation is something versus entrepreneurship. Some of you maybe you have put some years in some other company after your graduation and come here. So experience is very, very important. See, we as students, we are in a fantasy world, and we are only looking at Ferraris and I want to drive Aston Martin. This that. We are in a dream world. We are not in a reality world. Some of us are matured enough, and we are in a reality world. Maybe because our parents are entrepreneurs, or you have closely watched entrepreneurship elsewhere, or by birth you are intelligent enough to observe. Um, I think it is very, very crucial to work under somebody for some years, especially with the startup companies, for two reasons. First is you will understand what an ecosystem of startup is, what are the difficulties, how what mistakes people do, and what positives others do. So that is a huge experience which you will gain if you are working under somebody. Secondly, and you may decide that, okay, after seeing all these, I don't want to be an entrepreneur because I am not made for it. And there's nothing wrong in not being an entrepreneur. You can be a great scientist without being an entrepreneur, or you can be a great manager without being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is not he's not the smartest fellow on earth. Second is technology. For example, you would have studied something, and now you want to get into, say, batteries. Now, when you want to get into batteries, whether you want to get lithium-ion battery or whether you want to get into lithium phosphate battery, lithium sulfate battery, or is it better to go for some other, now there are some things which are not available in our textbooks, and even even if you browse the net, you may not get knowledge. So to sharpen your domain knowledge, working in the similar industry for 2 to 3 years or even 10 years will make a lot of difference, will make it very easy. The possibility of you making error is very less. Now, there are contrary views to this. Others say that if you waste 2 years, competition will take up, and you will have lost. Maybe true in some cases, that it is so crucial that if you have to do something, you have to do it at the right time. For example, if you had to invent something for COVID, you should have done it in 2020, 2021. In 2022, it may become irrelevant. So having gathered knowledge, you wouldn't have. This is a small example I'm giving, which is true. So if you have really critical, which others are working, and you have got a breakthrough, and you cannot waste time, then there is no meaning in going and working for others. Otherwise, it makes sense.
So, sir, if we want to experience all these things, we can also experience by doing internship also.
A very good idea. An internship is meant for that. Like, we do give internships to a lot of students. And why we do is because we feel that it's very, very important to, most of my employees are interns who have come as interns and stayed with us, because we get to know them, they get to know us. So you can continue as an employee. Plus, one of our intern, Prithvi, he has started his own company. He is making plastic sheets out of fungus. Of course, the fungus is dead fungus. He has learned it after he learned the entrepreneurial skill after becoming an intern with us. So you are correct. Internship is something which will be very, very helpful depending on the industry.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for guiding us all. Your work and experience inspires us a lot to reach our goals. Now, I would like to invite respected Dinesh Goyal, sir, who has been instrumental to this institution's journey, for his words of wisdom and knowledge.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are.
First of all, my gratitude toward Dr. Hrishikesh Damle, sir. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, sir. Apologies if I'm wrong over there
No,
right now.
my name is Hrishikesh Damle.
Okay, Hrishikesh Damle, fine. I extend my warm gratitude towards your kind presence and the way you have shared your views with the student. Best thing was they were more realistic, whether it was example of handling the officers or taking risk in the business or how to nurture your idea. I just want to share, Rishikesh sir, that with efforts of experts like you, in last 3 years, we have achieved 12 startups in the campus. I know they are quite new right now. So we have kept the target of 3% of our students. So right now it's around 1%. And objective is to achieve at least 30 to 40 startups in the campus in coming 2-3 years. By this, we are trying to make our students more employers. The startups may fail or succeed, but we are trying to incubate them as much as possible so that at least out of those 30, 40, if 10 can sustain also in future, that will be a big achievement in our terms, because we are having an intake of around total students of around 1,200 in the campus right now. So we aim to achieve this figure by, let's say, 24, 25 of 3% of students having their own startups. I do agree on your point, a well-laid point, that the startups also need some sort of learning, working with some other people or some other startups. We are trying to bridge that gap with expert sessions from yours or student internships in startups. And I wish with today's session also, the students will more students will be motivated to work with to have their own startups, and we may be able to achieve this thing. So I extend my warm thanks again to you all. Thank you, Manisha, for organizing such a wonderful session. And best thing was I saw a lot of students participating in your session. That means a volume for us. So I thank all of you for this activity, and I hope we are able to achieve our goals in next 2-3 years. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspirational words. Now, I would like to call Manish Bhardwaj, sir, for vote of thanks. Sorry, sir, your mic is off.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Damle sir for his words. Like my students have got very much benefited for this, and thanks for the students as well, because you have asked very realistic queries, and I appreciate your efforts. Like you also want to be converted into the startups, so I wish you all the best. So I thank management Poornima, principal sir, and head of departments, and all the faculty members and the students, as well as the entrepreneurs who have joined the sessions. And we appreciate all the efforts made by Damle sir for such a nice PPT as well. So I request to share this PPT with my team.
Yeah, I'll send it.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Saloni.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request everyone to on your
Thank you, sir.
cameras. We'll have a group photo. Please open your cameras, everyone.
Ankit, please take a group photograph.
Yes, sir. I have to. Thank you, sir. Done.
Okay, thank you very much. I would also would like to thank Saloni for such a nice anchoring, and as well as Ankit for making such a nice effort for this session. Thank you, Team PBIC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.